Good morning. This morning we're going to be talking about suicide. 22 is too many. And of course, we all know that 22 is related to the uh, 22 veterans a day, and the number is between 17 and 22. It kind of varies from year to year. So sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. And so you just have to know what it is with that, you know. Uh, and, I've had experience friends who have committed suicide before. I had friends who have attempted suicide and weren't successful. And so it's a very personal thing for me. Suicide is, of course, the attempt to end one's life. It's a feeling of helplessness, hopelessness stemming from seemingly unrecoverable negative situations. Most of the time, depression, anxiety, PTSD, a lot of mental stuff that traumatic events that people have experienced is what drives that suicide. People have been in combat and stuff, seen their friends get blown up, survivor's guilt, all number of things that are in their mind, and they don't know how to process that out and how to get it out and how to be able to sit with it and be okay. It is, it's a thing about suicide. So many people want to do something about it. Last year they passed legislation to, do that, and all that, and it's something being done, but really it gets down to the individual person that it knows that individual who wants to commit suicide that is going to have the most impact. And so through training, I feel like that we can be more aware of what's going on around us with our friends and be able to help those. The stats, in that I've gotten, 10th leading cause of death. It's the second leading cause of death for ages 20 to 25. In 2018, this is nationwide, not veteran. It's 48,000 suicides. More than 50% of suicides involve firearms. Men die from suicide 3 to 5 times, but women, however, attempt suicide 4 times as much. That just means that they're not successful in the suicide, and mainly it has to do with method. Firearms are not a female's number one choice. ODing or cutting wrists or stuff like that. Let's look at just the veteran suicides. From VA, range of 19 to 22. And like I said, that's the number. The highest is in 2011. The 2017 is 20.6, 16.8 veterans a day, 3.8 service members a day. So that'll see the break in between the veterans and one still serving. Nearly 2/3 of the veteran suicide are over the age of 50. So this takes into Vietnam and Korea. Vietnam has a higher suicide rate than any other war, and that is because of the traumatic experiences they had, but also the traumatic experience they had when they got home, because people were not welcoming them back in like they should have. Nearly half of the vets, service members, are Army. Suicide rates highest among white population, 77%. So, that's just some numbers to give you. We're going to look at myths and facts, because I think a lot of times people don't understand the truth. They don't know the truth. So, a myth is talking or asking about suicide will put suicide into somebody's head. False. They've already, been down that road of thinking about it. People are not successful in talking directly about suicide. Actually reduces anxiety. You have a far greater chance of preventing a suicide than you do planning a suicidal thought. So, you can prevent a suicide more than you're going to cause one. Someone who survives a suicide attempt is obviously not serious about it. It's just the opposite. More than 70% of people who die by suicide have previously threatened or have attempted. When someone says it's just the way they feel, take it seriously. In other words, you think that they attempted suicide one time, then they're not going to do it again. False. It's more likely that they're going to do it because they figured out what didn't work, what mistake they made, and they are all that more out to commit suicide. You cannot prevent suicide. People who are suicidal are intent on dying and feel there is no turning back. Totally false. You can prevent a suicide right up to that moment when they pull the trigger, take the pills, whatever. Suicide is the most preventable death, and almost any positive action may save a life. Most people who are suicidal are undecided about it. Part of them wants to die, but part of them doesn't. The main thing they want to do is stop their pain. So just anything positive that you can start talking to them about until you can get some more help, is going to help them. Only experts can prevent suicide. Suicide prevention is everybody's business, and anyone can prevent the tragedy. So you don't have to be a licensed psychologist, psychiatrist, doctor, anybody else. You know that person. You know what you can say to that person, whether it be family, whether it be anything else. You know what you can say to them. Confronting a person about suicide will only make them angry and increase the risk of suicide. Asking someone directly about suicide intent lowers anxiety. This is actually identifying with them, saying, hey, I know what you're feeling right now. And it gives them a chance to open up communication and lower the risk of impact. Lower the risk of an impulsive act. Because a lot of times people are on that bridge where they are not sure what they want to do. And just one thought, one shift, one way can save that person. Suicidal people keep the plan to themselves. Most people wanting to commit suicide have been talking about it during the week of the actual attempt. You're just not going to have somebody just do it. They're going to be talking about it. Suicide usually happens with no warning. And of course, 8 out of 10 people who die by suicide give some kind of clue or warning to others, even if it's something subtle. And this is where I want to get to later, is finding those things, so we can recognize the warning signs before it's too late. And now we're going to get to the warning signs. Suicide warning signs. What you hear, verbal clues like, I don't want to live anymore. I'm tired of being married to that, person. I don't have anything in my life. I'm worthless. What you see, behavior, nervous behavior. They just go off script with their type of behavior. What you should know, situational clues. He's quit his job. He sold his car. Situational things that are all there. The more clues, signs you observe, the greater the risk. In other words, you need to take everything seriously. And you need, if he quits his job, then you need to start following up and seeing what all else is going in there. Direct verbal clues, like I said, I decided to kill myself. Wish I was dead. If X, Y, and Z doesn't happen, I'm going to kill myself. My family would be better off without me. This is indirect verbal. I wouldn't be around much longer. I won't be around much longer. I just want to go to sleep and not wake up. All of those, all of those you need to take into account. Behavior clues: isolation, self-medication, reckless behavior, drastic changes in behavior or personality. So like I said, if they don't want to be around people, if they're a type of person who is a very outgoing person and then they don't want to be around people, that's a change. Self-medication, they start taking drugs, to not feel pain. Reckless behavior, get on their motorcycle, drive down the road 90 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour. When we got back from Iraq, Afghanistan, when I was at Fort Hood, there were so many motorcycle wrecks. And this was not due to suicide. This was due to people wanting to have that adrenaline rush that they felt in combat. And we'd have week after week motorcycle accidents, casualties from them. There was at one point that we lost more out of the casualties there than we did in war. Drastic changes in behavior. They just start acting different. What you see, behavior clues. Loss in personal appearance. Loss in interest. Unexpected preparation for death. Preoccupation with death or dying. Feeling hopeless about the future. Preoccupation with death. They keep talking about death. They keep talking about what it would be like to die or whatever. Unexpected preparations for death. They start saying, well, I want you to bury me here, or I want this, or whatever. Preoccupation, they just keep talking about it, and feeling hopeless about the future. It's like they don't have anything to live for. They're not making any plans. Situational clues. Being expelled from school, fired from a job. Okay, like I said, losing a job. Family relationship problems, getting in a fight with a wife all the time, getting in a fight with the children all the time, abusing the children, death of a friend or a family member, especially if by suicide, like I said, getting back to that soldier dying in combat, and then they feel like that they should have died, and then, or a loved one committed suicide, and they're like, wow, that was simple and quick, I can do that. Diagnosis of a serious or terminal illness. They get stage 4 lung cancer, and they know they only have 6 months to die, but they don't want to go through that pain. They want to just end it now, be done. Situational clues, financial problems, either own or a family. Sudden loss of freedom or fear of punishment. Maybe they got locked up in jail. Feeling embarrassed or humiliated in front of peers. That one is kind of one of those things. It depends on the people. Victim of assault or bullying, maybe sexual assault, maybe they got raped. They don't want to feel anymore because of pain. When a person is raped, that just keeps playing over and over in their mind until they can get self. So remember, as you ask yourself, am I hearing, seeing, or knowing anything this person or that could possibly be a cause for his or her concern? If it's a yes, then you need to proceed with the steps that we're going to go over next week, which is the, now that you have gotten to a point where that, we're going to go over questions that you can ask and ways that you can kind of talk to that person and see if you can help that person. So y'all have a good day. Like I said, the only way I feel like that we can prevent suicide is that one-on-one connection with people, with veterans, because we know as veterans how hard it is, especially if we've been in combat, and we have to be able to relate to that to a point that we can help them with that experience. I would love to end veteran suicide. It's just so big right now. If we can just save one person from suicide today, then that would be wonderful. So y'all take care. I'll talk to y'all next week.